about it. to answer all of your learning questions. Craig, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good to have you here as always. A lot to talk about. And Devin, you're going to start us off with the first question.
Yes, the first one that we have here is, when do I prune endless summer colored hydrangeas?
The endless summers are one of the rebloomers, so we would prune it immediately after the early bloom fades. That's usually about mid-August. That way you've got time for the second flush of blooms to come up, and it will also be making buds for next year.
Alrighty, perfect. Well, this one is from Virginia. So my bleeding heart plant got cut down by mistake. Will it come back in the spring?
Yes, it will. This time of the year, especially with the heat we've had this year, it's not uncommon for bleeding hearts to go dormant anyway. They really don't enjoy our summer heat. Don't worry, those guys are tough. They'll be back next year.
All right, well, this one says, how to get rid of squash bugs.
Squash bugs. Well, I've been having pretty good luck with 7 on some of my plants. I don't have squash, but what you have to do is remember that when you're spraying, you need to get the spray under the foliage. That's where they're laying their eggs. So when you're spraying, kind of roll the leaves back as you're spraying so you get both the bottom and top side of the leaves with your spray.
Alrighty, so this one's from Cheryl. So when do I prune a nectarine and pear tree and a grapevine?
Those are all pruned in the spring. After the first of the year, we can go out, and in February we finally get some decent weather where we can go ahead and get out and prune and not freeze to death. Definitely get those grapes done early. It's one of the plants that brings up its sap very early, and by pruning when the ground is still frozen, those cuts are going to heal so they don't bleed too badly when the sap finally comes up.
All right, this one says, do caladiums do well indoors?
Caladiums make an okay house plant. They're not the best in the world. You need a very sunny window. Caladiums outside can take sun to shade. They love this hot, humid weather that we're suffering through right now. Make sure that you keep them fertilized on a regular basis like the rest of your blooming plants. And at the end of the season, you can bring them in. I can almost guarantee that before winter gets done, they're going to go dormant. And then you just store them dry in their pot before you start growing them again next year.
Okay, so this is from Pat. So my tomato plant leaves are curled and the tomatoes are rotten on the bottom.
Okay, this is classic blossom end rot. We've had a lot of this brought in at work lately. What it is, it's a calcium imbalance. The products are Stop Rot and Yield Booster. It's actually a liquid calcium that you spray right on the plant. And I tell people, it's a cheap insurance policy to make sure that you don't get blossom end rot, because you don't know it's there until you go out and pick your first tomatoes, go, oh, blossom end rot. Stop Rot will go ahead and keep blossom end rot at bay.
This one says, my bleeding heart plant got cut down by mistake. Will it come back in the spring?
Oh, it'll come back. Like I said, they're tough little devils. They are probably going to go dormant shortly anyway. Just wait until next year.
Alrighty, so we're going to ask one more before we send you to break here. So this is from Linda. So how often can you use 7 on your plants?
Well, 7 has about a 4 to 5 day residual. So you can spray, you know, I personally spray more often than the label reads, but if you're really interested, make sure that you're reading the label and following the directions as closely as possible.
All right, well, continue to send in your questions. We're going to take a quick break, go on our WQAD Facebook page, and we'll be right back on the other side of the break. GMQC at 11, and we have plant and garden expert Craig Hignight here with us, and we're going to continue with our questions.
Yes, let's keep it going with Mary Beth. So should I prune my lavender now the blooms are no longer purple?
What you want to do with all of your perennials is go ahead and as the flowers fade, go ahead and prune the flower stem just down to the foliage. Sometimes you get lucky and you get a second bloom out of them.
All right, this one says, I have 2 young maple trees and one is showing its fall foliage. Is this normal or should I be doing something?
This is showing stress on that tree. If it's a new tree, make sure that you get out there and give it a shot of root stimulator. Make sure that you've got a nice mulch bed around the tree to keep lawnmowers and weed eaters away from it. The last thing I would do would be to go ahead and do a little careful digging right down at the base of the tree. Make sure that you're finding roots within about 2 or 3 inches of the surface of the soil. If you go 4 or more inches down before you find the first root, that tree was planted too deeply.
Alrighty, so this is from Karen. So what kind of hydrangea can I get for full sun?
Oh, you can use the Limelight, you can use the Annabelles. The ones you do not want for full sun, especially on the west side, are the colors, the blues and the pinks. They really do not appreciate that hot afternoon sun.
All right, this one says, I have a knockout rose I planted this spring. In the center of the plant is a cane that is 18 inches tall. It has 3 buds coming from the top of the canes, 3 shoots, but it has no leaves. How do I deadhead it? And that's from John.
Well, you've just got a wild cane coming up. Go ahead, it's got buds, let them go ahead and bloom out, and then you're gonna, I always tell people, if you get a cane that is extremely vigorous on a rose, you cut it back down inside the body of the plant to make the growth come up to where the rest of the plant is when it decides to bloom on the next stem.
Perfect. So from Susan, why is my pin oak dropping the end of its branches?
There have been a few cicada around the area. I didn't hear very many. That could be part of the problem. You also have to remember that not too far down the road, squirrels are going to start making their nests for fall, and they are little fumble fingers. They'll clip off the tip of the branch and it'll fall to the ground before they can grab it. If you're just losing a few tips here and there on the tree, it's nothing to worry about. Remember, in August and September, you should invest some water in this tree to build it up and get it ready for winter.
Right, this one says, Japanese beetles have defoliated my birch tree. Will it die or be okay?
No, it won't die. Japanese beetles, they hit about a week ago. I've been able to keep them at bay on my plants with 7. Next year, what I would suggest doing, as soon as that tree starts to leaf out, get out there with your tree and shrub protector. It's a liquid. You apply it right around the base of the tree. It goes up, makes the whole tree toxic to Japanese beetles, but they take a bite, they die.
All right, so this is from Robert. So I have a rose of Sharon too close to my shed, or too close to my shed rather. When is the best time to move it? It is about 6 feet tall.
Oh, this is an old plant. This is one that I would suggest waiting until next spring. And when you do move it, after the ground thaws out, you're going to take it from 6 feet down to 1 foot. You're going to really damage that root system in the process of moving it. So you have to definitely take the pressure off the root system by severely cutting it back when you're ready to move it.
All righty, Craig. Well, that is all we got for you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes. As always.
Yeah, and be sure to join our Facebook Live with Craig each and every Wednesday. There you can submit your questions and be a part of the conversation. GMQC at 11 returns in just a few moments.
And it's John Deere Classic Week if you haven't heard already. And here's a live look from TPC Deer Run in Silvis.